Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program is brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. If you need tools and materials for your next building project, your next do-it-yourself project, turn to the folks who've been doing it for more than a century. If you want cutting-edge, cost-effective materials, these are the guys. A.G. Hines Company. Plus, they've got expert advice on how to use the tools and materials in the smartest way, most efficient way possible. Trust these guys. A.G. Hines Company. You can find them right downtown in Knoxville on Hines Street, naturally. All right, when you've been around 100 years, they name streets after you. Right down there, you hear him laughing already. Chuck Cavaleris, longtime sports writer, back on the show again this year. Thanks for being with us, Chuck.
Great to be here. Congratulations on what a great run you've had.
Well, that's you guys and the folks at home and our sponsors. I'm just trying to stay out of the way. Let's take a look at some numbers here to talk about this run game from the other night, ground and pound. 64 rushing attempts, 331 yards on the ground. 5 yards per carry is average, 4 rushing touchdowns. First time they'd had 2 backs go over 100 since Josh Dobbs and John Kelly did it in 2016 versus Missouri. First time they'd had 2 running backs go over 100 since the last time they faced Bowling Green when Alvin Kamara and Jalen Hurd did it. First time over 300 yards as a team rushing the ball since 2018 versus UTEP. So, a man would be crazy not to be all in on this ground game. Right? Chuck, I'm going to start with you.
My name is Crazy Chuck.
There is no hold here, so you either have to buy or sell this stock. It's high right now. And you just went against the worst run defense in football last year that averaged giving up 300-something yards. Are you buying this run game is going to be this solid, or are you going to sell it right now?
No, the competition is going to get so much better. I'm not ready to buy it yet. You said I have to do one. I don't want to sell it, but in fact, that's the choice.
You can always buy it back later.
And buy it back later. I mean, Bowling Green was ranked like 129 out of 130 in BCS.
No, it was 127 out of 127.
They changed it again? Okay. Yeah. But what I noticed last year, they gave up 45 points a game in just 5 games. You say, well, that was the COVID year. The year before, they gave up 42 a game. So you have to, the level of the competition, and look what Georgia looked like last night. Look what Alabama looked like. Look what these teams are going to play. So no, not quite yet, but what's a good thing, the ground game was there, the way the passing game struggled.
Guys, what are you doing? Are you buying or selling the run game right now?
Well, if we have to compare to the rest of the year, you got to sell it just because you're going to see a different level of competition, and we've only seen that. But now I do see a guy, the Tyon Evans guy, you look at him and you go, that's a game breaker. And also you go, how is the coaching staff going to look at employing your quarterback in the run game more?
Hang on.
And things like that. But I'm just saying, there's a way to get this to become a strength even more so. It's just you're combating here against thinking about, you saw some defenses yesterday too going, that's my challenge. But I think you have game-breaking ability in that run game.
Are you buying that the run game, and they're not going to go for 300 yards a game, but are you buying that the ground game is so much improved over last year?
Yeah, I'm buying that. But does that mean they're going to run it against Alabama and Georgia? No. But it means they're going to run it against Kentucky and Pitt and some other teams. Yeah. So that was where I was struggling a little bit with buying or selling. No, it's not going to continue to produce like that. But it's kind of like what Will said. One reason I would buy is because of Tyon Evans. I think he's really good. Yeah. And I think Jabari Small's really good. Yeah. And I think good running backs can make an offensive line look better than it is. So from that standpoint, do I think the running back's going to be a whole lot better? Yes. Do I think that'll show up against Alabama and Georgia? Not necessarily. But I guess I would buy it just because I think the run game is going to be a whole lot better than it was last year.
The 2 running backs look like NFL running backs. I mean, just their cutability, their ability. I'm not saying first round, second round, but I'm saying play in Sunday. They look like they have that kind of ability.
The things that concerned me, you had a 4th and 2 and you lined up and couldn't get it against them.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the worst run defense out there. You didn't look good in the first half either. I mean, 65 yards rushing. You really lit a fire in the second half, which we'll get into. But also Bowling Green, it looked like they were content for Tennessee. You just go ahead and run it, eat your own clock. We're not going to put 8 men in the box and let you throw it over the top. I don't know if Pitt's going to sit there and say, yeah, just run it. I don't know how many other teams are going to let you just continue to run. For that reason, I would sell the stock right now. Sell high. I'd be willing to buy back later, though.
Yeah, especially when you find out about the injury to Cooper Mays. Yeah, and you find out some other things for the offensive line.
Should they run Milton more? I think you already tipped your hand here. He got 14 carries the other night. Not all of those were called in design. Certainly had the 2 easy, as David Ubben had told us a few weeks ago. He's going to dance into the end zone on those zone reads. He did. Now, I don't know that you're going to be playing Bowling Green all year, but still, kudos to David. You could do a little bit more of the zone read stuff with him, and he looked more content running than Garantano did when he was here. So you would run him more?
I would absolutely run him more because I think he's an athletic enough that he's a weapon. Garantano ran, and it was, having
Clunky
Peyton Manning run or Casey Clausen, right? It was going to get you 3 or 4 yards. Yeah. He's dangerous enough to a defense that says on 3rd and 9, if you don't count for him, he can get the 9, right? So he can hurt you. He can be the first down guy. And I also thought when they got in kind of a lull, when they finally called a run play for him, he came back and played better in the pass game. So I think he's a kind of a momentum guy that if you start feeling like it's just not working, not clicking, call a run and say, you're running this down. We're not giving you a choice. You're looking a little confused, whatever. Get him back in the game and feeling the game by calling a run play.
Quickly, do you guys run him more? Or are you concerned at all? I mean, he's as big as a Buick. I don't know that, there are other guys who've been over there. It's like, I don't want him to take a hit. I think this guy doles out more hits. But are you in favor of running him more? Or do you have concerns about running him more?
I would run him more. The 14 carries is plenty, but you don't want 3 of them to be sacks.
Right.
So, but yeah, I would run him more. I saw him in a practice where he ran a zone read and took off upfield and went about 50 yards. He knew it wasn't going to be touched. He's fast. I think he's actually faster than what he showed the other night against Bowling Green. I think sometimes against Bowling Green, he was thinking, am I supposed to go down here? But
Right.
I would run him more.
Yeah, especially in the red zones inside the 10. I think he may be your best chance to score in that. But I do think you got to be a little bit careful because there were a couple of times on the tackles they went low. And that's the way that a lot of people, I think, on the track, somebody that big and pretty much could have got a knee hurt on something like that. I'd be careful. You got to pick your spots, and it depends on what the defense does, too.
We'll talk about this later on, but it certainly sounds like Josh Heupel has found his man and is going to stick by his man. And if that's the case and the passing game doesn't get better, you better run him more. Yeah. I'm all for running him more. All right, let's talk more about Joe Milton. There have been comparisons to Jarrett Garantano in terms of he stands back there and holds on the football and everything. His processing speed, going into the season, a lot of people told me, he was fine at Michigan. It's Jim Harbaugh's an idiot. It's his bad offense. That's the problem. We'll talk about all that with our own former quarterback. Sterling Hinton comes out here next. He'll join Will, and we'll discuss Joe Milton from a quarterback's perspective. Next on the Sports Source. Come on back.